Oh. Welcome to Meaningful Mornings and a joyous Mahashiva Ratri to all. The word Shiva, in a theological sense, means auspicious. Like seeing the sunrise, being around an infant, that is auspicious. Mahashiva, that is not theological, that is subjective. This means egolessness. Egolessness. Ratri, we are to close, shut any sort of vision and lifestyle that is inauspicious, that is egotistical. For the majority of us, our vasana or default is to be rajasic. One who is aggressive is ever engaged in extroversion, which means they keep trying to input to find completion. Seeing more, eating more, talking more, etc. To practice Mahashivaratri, we have to close and shut down what we're inputting. We do this on a regular basis as we go to sleep. We stop seeing, we stop eating, we stop talking. And what happens then? Our rajas devolves to tamas. Our aggressiveness becomes laziness. If you find in your day that you just don't eat, you become lazy then, correct? If you don't listen to something while you're doing something, you become lethargic. To practice Mahashivaratri, we do have to close and shut down what we input, this rajas, but instead of falling to tamas, laziness, to lift ourselves to sattva, to lightness, to be light-footed, light-hearted, and even more deeply, to have the humility that there is more to you than the ego. The primary source of darkness in our life is the ego. We feel separate from each other. We're engaged in doership. Have the humility that deeper than the ego is your infinite nature, is Bhagavan Shiva. And so, Mahashivaratri is not a night. It is to be a jivana. This is to be practiced our whole life. This vision in our lifestyle. This is the logic of the High Five Challenge. And how amazingly this morning is our 300th morning together. What a way that Bhagavan Shiva is gracing and guiding us by having this milestone in our lives on this day. 300. That is a long and wonderful time together. Some of you may be feeling just long, but I feel it's long and wonderful. Wonderful. In our last verse, of Bhagavad Gita, Prince Arjuna was sharing how his hands, they're becoming weak. His legs, they're becoming weak. His skin is burning. These are all physical signs of imbalance. The physical comes from the subtle. Me manaha brahmativa. My mind is imbalanced, so this is happening to my body. What his mind is going through is deepened more, is elaborated upon more in verse 31. Nimitani cha pashyami viparitani keshava nacha shreyo nupashyami hatva swajanamahave. Prince Arjuna is sharing with Sri Krishna. Pashyami, I'm seeing nimitani, I'm seeing omens. I'm seeing superstitious happenings. Listen carefully as I give you a orientation towards omens and superstitions. Our environment undoubtedly has an effect on us. A sunny day makes it easier to smile than a dark day. Agreed? Seasonal affective disorder. That's not a superstition. This is science. The more that we can tune into the environment, the more we can use the environment for our benefit. A small example of this, many years ago, when the global tsunami had killed around 250,000 people in the world. How many animals died? Hardly any. And those that did die were domestic animals. But what did the wild animals do? They sought higher ground because they're in tune with the environment, correct? Earthquake, waves, let's seek safety. Humans were taking photographs. These omens, these superstitions that you have been taught in your life, that you may be practicing, they have an impact on us if we have faith in them. If you don't have faith in them, that omen, that superstition is holding you back more rather than pushing you forward more. This is to be faith-based. And as I shared with all of you in Jivan Sutrani, more important than having faith in any entity, including God, is to have faith in yourself. To have faith in your own mind. And so as you navigate omens, superstitions, rituals, if this is your bandwidth, direct that bandwidth to having more faith in your mind rather than trying to infuse faith in that which is outside of you. This is what Prince Arjuna is doing, no? Putting faith in that which is outside of him instead of what's inside of him. And in hindsight, we know what happens to Prince Arjuna. Viparitani Keshava, what I am seeing, I feel this to be adverse. Viparitani, O Keshava, another name for Sri Krishna. The greatest adversity in our lives is the viparita bhavana. I'll say that again. Viparita bhavana, which is the feeling that you're not infinite. That is the greatest adversity. And this is why the purpose of contemplation is to correct, to reconcile this viparita bhavana, to stop feeling that you are finite and to start re-feeling that you are infinite. Such adversity causes us klesha. Klesha means sadness. The only way to come out of this klesha is through keshava. It is through God's grace, expressed as the Guru's guidance, that one can come out of this klesha by feeling who they are. In English, these words are so straightforward. Adversity, another name for Sri Krishna. But they have much more import than that. Nacha shreyo nupashyami. Now the word anupashyami is used, less about seeing, but more about feeling. Na shreyaha. I no longer have the right feeling about what is good for me. I'd shared with all of you, Shreya also means long term. He doesn't know how to think in the long term. And if he can't think in the long term, he will never think in the forever term. We all want to be happy, not just for the long term, but forever. But to get to being happy forever, you first have to be happy for the long term, right? He's lost that. Hatva swajanam ahave. In this battle, I see no utility in the long term of killing our people, my family. And in this last quarter, we come to understand how Prince Arjuna has made this about him. He has made this personal. And tomorrow I will share much more about the destruction that comes with such personalization. In the High Five Challenge, today I've checked off sleep early, wake early, and sync early. That's synchronization. Being in a home where everyone sleeps and wakes at different times and everyone's perpetually tired, crankiness is quite natural. And this morning when that was directed towards me, I didn't take it personally. And that's why I checked off sync early. You can say whatever you want about me, but I don't have to take that personally. From inspiration to application. Yesterday's application was you reflecting on a time that you dropped your bow, that you gave up. Does anyone want to share how they gave up? And more specifically, why did you give up? And as you share, my observation on this, you gave up because you gave more power to context than to content. You had more faith in what was going around outside of you than what was going around inside of you. And there's a specific verse where Sri Krishna chides Prince Arjuna for succumbing to his context. Others have shared, I thought I was too busy. I thought others controlled me. I thought that my career was more important than my family. Your application for this morning, don't fight with yourself, at least for one day. Stop fighting with yourself. Many of you will be celebrating Mahashivratri in different ways in terms of announcements for those who want to celebrate in a deep way. This evening in our Living the Gita course, I will be summarizing Bhagavad Gita's chapters 7 to 11 and introducing chapter 12. You are Prince Arjuna. This is your song. Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. Be safe, be sound, be serene. Be Shiva.